Welcome back to another GTA Online vehicle guide, and this one's going to be a little bit different because today we're not talking about which vehicles are the fastest or the most heavily armed. Instead, this video is going to be focused on one thing and one thing only: protection against griefers, which is why I've decided to create a list of the 10 best defensive vehicles that you can buy in GTA Online to keep your virginity intact whenever you enter a public lobby. And defensive doesn't necessarily mean passive, as you'll soon find out, because many of these vehicles come with onboard weaponry and various other mechanisms to discourage your attackers and force them to give up the pursuit on you. Plus, there are some vehicles which go from being defensive to offensive in the blink of an eye as soon as you find a second player to man those turrets. So we've got a lot of variety here in this list today, and this is not just a list of the most heavily armored cars in GTA Online either. Anyway, let's start off with one of the most armored cars in GTA Online, the Night Shark. Now, I know I said this wouldn't be a simple armored cars list, and trust me, it isn't, but there's simply no way to make a defensive vehicle list for GTA 5 Online without putting the Night Shark on. There's a reason this SUV has gained legendary status amongst the player base, and folks are still using it to this day after the introduction of Amani Tech, and it's not just because of the radical looks it has. Instead, it's because the Night Shark is the fastest heavy armor vehicle in the game. Now let me explain what I mean by heavy armor, because we already have cars like the Buffalo STX, for example, the Duke of Death, and even the Ocelot Virtue that are also super armored and also come with missile lock-on jammers. So why should you invest in a Night Shark when it doesn't have a missile jammer and it's slower than armored sports cars like the Stinger TT? Well, this is why. That's 27 homing missiles right there to take out a Night Shark with somebody sitting inside, which is 7 more than what an Oppressor Mark II can carry at capacity, and 15 more than what a Grazi Stinger TT can tank before it blows up. So to put things plainly here, the Night Shark's explosive resistance is simply in a completely different league compared to your average armored car like the Duke of Death, or even an Amani Tech Bravado Greenwood or Buffalo STX. And yes, it even has bullet resistant windows, which means you can drive away from ambushes without a bullet lodged in your cranium. FMJ rounds will still slice right through the ballistic glass, but most people don't know they exist, and even fewer actually equip FMJ ammo on their weapons. Plus, the Night Shark has one more thing going for it. Check this out. Do you see that? That just looks like a normal, non-weaponized, non-specialized car. So if a griefer tries to go after you thinking that you're easy prey, and trust me, most Oppressor Mark II griefers have an IQ smaller than their shoe size, so they will go after you thinking that you're easy prey, you can then surprise them by tossing a quick sticky bomb in their face after they spam their rockets like total morons and eventually run out of ammo. And that's what makes the Night Shark such a good defensive vehicle. Its sheer durability against explosives, combined with its excellent handling and high speed, means that you can bait in morons, force them to play their hand, and then reverse the tables on them. Just don't install that additional window plating thinking you're getting a huge advantage. It's honestly not that useful, and it will prevent you from throwing bombs out of the vehicle. Instead, keep the default bullet resistant glass and greet your enemies with a C4 facial. Next, we need to talk about the Bravado Halftrack, which I like to call the two-faced defensive vehicle, as it has precisely 2 modes of operation: turtling inside its armored shell and melting your face off with insane firepower. And switching from pacifist Buddhist monk to Giga Death murder machine only requires the presence of one teammate to man that rear-mounted turret for you. In its base form, the Halftrack can soak up 27 homing missiles and 9 RPGs, the same as the Night Shark, except this being a giant military truck rather than a nimble SUV, it's actually a lot slower at just 58 miles an hour as a top speed. And that might seem like a death sentence in a public free roam lobby full of supercars and jets, but consider this for one moment. The Halftrack lets you quickly toss bombs out the window if you don't have the heavy armor plating, so you're not totally defenseless even if you're solo, and it comes with proximity mines as well as a completely bulletproof rear end. So anyone pursuing you will have a tough time staying on top of you because they'll constantly have to deal with mines and sticky bombs flying their way. Lastly, check this out. Even when the glass has been completely shattered, the Halftrack's windshield won't allow a single bullet to pass through because this is the one sort of god mode glitch that Rockstar still has not yet patched, and I prefer it stays that way. Not even FMJ ammo can make its way through the front windshield, which indicates that it might be the only transparent wall in the entire game because it functions exactly like a wall or a windowless part on any other vehicle. In fact, the only way to hit someone inside of a Halftrack is through the side windows it has. So as long as you don't present your side to them and only show them the front or rear of the vehicle, you're immune to bullet damage entirely. Then you have that ginormous anti-aircraft quad barrel gun in the bed of this truck, which if you have another guy to man it while you're driving around, that's going to turn the Halftrack from a more passive armored car into a total murder mobile because it's even more powerful than the 50 cal that you get on the Insurgent pickup custom. You guys know how insane that weapon is. If something is flying in the air, you can bring it down within a few seconds of sustained fire from this turret, and what's cool here is that the turret has complete armor plating on the sides and the rear, so the gunner is basically always protected from bullets too. Now, if you really want to wreak havoc on a public free roam lobby, get a third guy to hook up an AA trailer to your Halftrack and get the infamous Convoy of Death. My next defensive pick is going to be the Patriot Milspec, and I know a lot of folks pass this one over in favor of the Buffalo STX or maybe even the Virtue or just some other Imani Tech car, but I think this one is a really cool vehicle to drive. First off, it's a Humvee. I mean, that's reason enough for me to buy it alone, but other than that, it also has the potential to install a window delete on the rear end, which makes the back of the Milspec totally bulletproof. You can't do that on the other Imani Tech cars that I just mentioned. Not even the STX, which does have a louver option, but it doesn't stop bullets from entering the driver cabin anyway. Also, the Patriot Milspec has bullet-resistant windows, unlike the Virtue and the EVX, which both have regular windows. So yeah, it can't tank the same number of RPGs as EV Imani Tech cars, and it's relatively slow, unfortunately, with a top speed of 96 miles an hour, but you're still getting a beast of an Imani Tech car for just $1.2 million with the trade price, and all you have to do in order to unlock that trade price is complete 15 security contracts from your agency, which if you have the agency, you probably already have them done. Don't forget that you can install oil slick mines as well as front-mounted machine guns, a remote control unit, as well as a missile lock-on jammer, so the Patriot Milspec has all of the advantages of Imani Tech, and also it comes with that rear window delete if you choose the hardtop option for your truck bed. For vehicle number 4, I've got a completely unorthodox pick here, and this one's an ugly boy, let me tell you. Meet the Rune Zaba, which is a completely amphibious armored vehicle based on the real-life N1200 ATV from a Ukrainian company called Shirt. And while its off-roading credentials are not to be questioned, thanks to those massive wheels and all-wheel drive, what about its armor? Because most folks just see the Zaba as another gimmick vehicle with a short wheelbase and tall center of gravity that spins like a Beyblade if you go slightly too fast around a corner. Well, I'm glad to report that not only is the Zaba heavily armored, but it can actually tank more RPGs than either the Night Shark or the Insurgent pickup custom. And that's because the Zaba is one of the exceedingly few vehicles in the game with identical RPG and homing missile resistance values. It can tank 14 RPGs as well as 14 homing missiles. And here's another vehicle pick that can tank as many RPGs as it can homing missiles, the Acid Lab. Rather, I should say the Brigade 6x6, because that's the actual vehicle that the Acid Lab is based out of. So there are two variants of the Brigade on Warstock. One costs $1.4 million and is armored, and the other should never be bought by anyone. Now, as far as armor is concerned, the Brigade 6x6 with heavy armor plating applied at the Freak Shop can tank up to 48 RPGs or homing missiles. What's impressive about this though isn't just the sheer numbers, but the fact that it has the same amount of explosive resistance in the case of RPGs and homing missiles, because if you didn't know, RPGs in this game do 3 times the explosive damage compared to homing missiles. That's why the Night Shark can tank 27 homing missiles, but goes down to just 9 RPGs. That's why the Buffalo STX can eat up 12 homing missiles, but will die to just 4 RPG shots. However, the Brigade 6x6 is just simply built different, quite literally, as it has the second highest explosive resistance of any vehicle in the game, making it the arch nemesis of every GTA Online griefer. And if you want to know which vehicle has the highest explosive resistance of them all, it's the MOC cab. Now, this is, in terms of pure explosive resistance, the strongest defensive vehicle in all of GTA 5 Online. You could shoot all of your Oppressor Mark II missiles at one of these, reload by summoning another Oppressor Mark II, shoot all those missiles, and you still wouldn't be able to destroy the MOC cab. That's because you need 69 total homing missiles to blow up one of these vehicles, or 24 RPGs. A normal player can only carry 20 RPG rockets at a time, so you need 2 guys wailing on you with RPGs, and they'd still have to land at least half their shots to kill you. Even 3 Oppressor Mark IIs going at you at the same time won't be enough to blow up your MOC. That's just how indestructible this thing is. It's like riding around inside of Optimus Prime when he's in vehicle mode. But as tough as the MOC is, it can still be blown up with sufficient persistence, as we don't exactly have a shortage of no-lifers in GTA Online, unfortunately. However, even those no-lifers will have a brain aneurysm as they try to destroy this next vehicle today on this list, which is the new and improved Terabyte with the missile lock-on and stealth running module upgrades. You can only install both of these upgrades at your garment factory using the Bureau Tech workshop that's there, and what they do is transform the Terabyte from a vehicle that was already very tough to kill into one that's practically indestructible in public lobbies. And here's why. By default, the Terabyte can tank 34 RPGs and 34 homing missiles. That's a ridiculous amount on its own, but once you factor in that missile lock-on jammer and the above average maneuverability that the Terabyte has for being such a large truck that it is, you can begin to see that in reality, it will take ages to bring one of these things down. Even if the other guy is some kind of free aiming god with his rockets, which, let's be real here, most griefers are certainly not, he'll still have to go through 2 Oppressor Mark IIs before he manages to destroy your Terabyte. And you're not exactly defenseless this entire time, because the Terabyte also has the option to install a missile rack in the rear. These homing missiles aren't particularly accurate, but they'll still get the job done if your enemy isn't a very good pilot. And what's neat about this new silent running module is that you can now park your Terabyte behind some building and make it disappear off the map, then ambush someone right as they're approaching with your homing missiles. It's almost like an invisible Chernobog, but with 40 times the explosive resistance that you get from a Chernobog. And for my next defensive vehicle, I've got to give it to the Avenger, as it's the single most indestructible aircraft in the entire game. Not only can the Avenger tank 24 homing missiles and 8 RPGs, which essentially makes it a flying night shark, but it also comes with 3 of those insta-kill turrets of doom that will immediately delete someone off the map if you touch them with a single shot. You just need a friend in the back to man the turrets, and your Avenger's survivability will go through the roof, because not only are you face tanking missiles left and right, but now you're also shooting down the guy sending those missiles at you. The best way to deal with a bully in this game is by punching him really hard in the face, and the Avenger is a shining example of that tactic because it has literally everything: turrets, homing missiles, bombs, VTOL capability, and even a stealth mode, so you can disappear from the map entirely and reappear behind your enemy to give him a heart attack when he sees those turrets pointing his way. Plus, if everything else fails, honestly, the Avenger still has a top speed of 178 miles an hour, which makes it way faster than even the Sparrow helicopter, and if you're a solo player, you can always just outrun your enemy unless they're in something like a Raiju, for example. My 9th most defensive vehicle isn't actually something you can buy, because the only way to summon it is by starting the fully loaded VIP work mission, and once you do that, you'll get 3 of these heavily modified Ruiner 2000s on your map, along with a 20-minute timer. Now, that timer isn't for you, rather it's for the enemy, because for the next 20 minutes, they're locked in here with you. What makes this particular Ruiner 2000 so destructive though? Well, it has all the perks of a normal Ruiner 2000, like the absolute best homing missiles in the game, a jump button, a parachute for gliding long distances, and decent speed plus really good handling. But on top of all that is it also has a missile lock-on jammer and super heavy armor that allows it to tank up to 20 homing missiles. So basically, we're taking a regular Ruiner 2000 and giving it god mode. If you ask me, it doesn't get much more defensive than that. And by defensive, I mean obliterate your enemy and the next 7 generations of his descendants so he never touches GTA Online again defensive. However, there is still one more vehicle that is stronger, and that's the yacht, because it's not actually a boat as the game would have you believe. Rather, it's a floating apartment, and if you try to destroy this thing, it will just laugh in your face as it shrugs off hundreds of missiles without showing a single sign of damage anywhere on its body. That's right, the yacht is all but indestructible, and you can even hit this thing with an orbital cannon airstrike and you still won't be able to kill someone in their yacht unless they're out in the open relaxing in the hot tub, for example. If they have cover above their head, even the orbital cannon strike will fail to kill them as they stand unbothered in their yacht. And if you dare bring any aircraft near someone's yacht, you'll just get shot down by their air defenses. But guys, that's all I have for this video here today. I'd also like to take a moment to give a few honorable mentions for those of you out there who want some more value. One of them is the Toreador, which is still the #1 free roam PvP car for dealing with griefers, and there's also the Kasatka with its cruise missiles and fast travel, but there's only so much I can fit into one video. So if you have any other really good picks for the best defensive vehicles in the game that you guys love, let me know what you think they are down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to drop a like on it if you found the information informative. Consider subscribing to the channel if you guys are new and you want to see more GTA 5 online content just like this. Also, make sure to check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically twitch.tv/HazardusHDTV for more GTA online money grinding live streams. It is the GTA 6 waiting room over on there. With all that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new GTA online video. Adios, amigos.